Hello, this is Tim at lovechangegrow.com, and today is Sunday, December 24th, 2023. So happy holidays, folks. Um, so this little post is mainly going to be a video, um, just because I've had quite a few things going on, but on the other hand, it's a reminder of what a special time this of year and in the season winter is. So, generally, you can think of winter as a time for introspection, and you can think of early, middle of winter, and late winter as three different phases. Um, so, I know that today's post is going to be about late winter, so I realize we're a little ahead of ourselves seasonally. So, a bit of a brief review. So, late fall, early winter is about to go inside or ask ourselves what went well in our garden, what didn't go well, and what do I want to do about it. It's a time of evaluation. Because if we don't do this evaluation little phase, we're doomed to planting the same damn garden. So it's just evaluation of what things do you want to change, what things do you want to keep, and what things are you going to say, I'm done with that, that's in the past, we'll let that stuff go, we no longer need it. And then that basically that old stuff gets composted, recycled. And so that's what the early winter is about evaluation, going in and asking ourselves, what did I learn? What's valuable? What should I keep? So then the next phase is the middle of winter, in a sense, the dark night of the soul, the winter solstice, which we're just past a couple days ago. And so that is really taking a deep dive into ourselves. And I want to divide that up into two levels. First is, you know, in a deep dive, an existential kind of examination or introspection of ourselves can be quite overwhelming and quite terrifying in a way, because we're going to be, you want to look at yourself honestly with some integrity, and basically you're asking the single question, who am I? And that can include the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now, some folks aren't at that level or willingness or ability, have the skills of doing that. And really, the skills are basically meditation. I think for me, anyway, Vipassana meditation worked really well. And I have, I guess, an affinity to it. But there's different schools of thought, different traditions, based on a person's cultural relevance. So what they were brought up in, whether it's Christianity, Buddhism, Jains, or whatever. It doesn't really matter. It's what matters is the process of introspection. So on a deep level, the basic question, who am I? And that's, I think, a level that takes some commitment to, and perhaps a bit of training, and certainly some courage to look at yourself. Now, I realize not everybody is at that level. So a comfortable level is, which is the same thing, is to ask the question, what do you love? What is your passion? What brings you joy and stuff? And that is a softer question, because we're not questioning ourselves. We're questioning what we love, what gives us meaning and purpose. And it's also, for example, in my career, I had several cases actually where I would be evaluating, doing a mental health evaluation, and basically, listen to their story and what had happened, and kind of get a view of how they view themselves and stuff. And um, there's been a few times when I'd go, well, what do you love to do? What's your dream? What's your passion? And I had folks basically break down in tears, and because nobody had ever asked them that question. They had always been told, oh, you're going to do this, you're going to go to this school, oh, you are, a piece of crap, you're not going to be amount to anything, and stuff like that. And so they had never asked themselves, what do I love to do? They had always kind of had been boxed into, this is who you are, this is what you do, this is where you go, this is what your life will be. Um, and and I remember one case where I asked this young woman about this, and she just broke into tears because uh, her parents, nobody had ever asked her what did she love to do. She was told what to study, what her interest should be, what her, position socially was, and her role in the family and stuff. Um, and that kind of reflects back to this. The first question is, who am I? Um, and that's really important for folks to really have the opportunity to ask that question and investigate who they are, examine that, because that is essentially where a person gets their sense of sovereignty, they're self determined. Um, uh, because if you don't have that, you kind of miss out on okay, what do I do? And a person's generally lost in a sense if they're not able to say, who am I? This is who I am. And so the question of what's your passion, what do you love to do, we'll get to that in to that sense of self, not as directly, but um, as one kind of recognizes they have the capacity, the authority to say, this is who I am because this is what I love to do. So I love to do this, thus, this is who I am. So it's a little more indirect. Um, and it takes maybe a little more time, but on the other hand, it doesn't matter how you get there as long as you get there. um, so the deep winter is really about introspection, and you can approach it again by who am I, or what do I love to do, what's my passion, what brings me joy, what are my dreams and stuff. And so that's the space we're in right now, in sort of coordination with the dark night of the soul. The winter solstice is really a time where we're diving deep into ourselves and touching who we are, touching our soul, touching what gives us meaning and existence. And then from there, then we move towards the third part, the late winter. And again, that kind of involves looking and being inside of ourselves. But um, I personally love late winter because you're also, you're reconnecting you've reconnected with yourself. You're kind of renewing yourself and refreshing yourself. Well, how does that happen? So late winter is still a time you're kind of wandering in the dark. You might be sleeping more, but it's a great opportunity to wonder about, what am I going to plant in the spring? And also wandering around in the dark. Um, and eventually, a person stumbles on a little seed that goes, oh, yeah, I wanted to do this 5 years ago, and now I have the time or the money, or I have a space in my life where I could do this. And so, a little side note, in one of my posts, I put, you have, gosh, 3 books in life. One is a daily planner. One is, what did I learn? And the other one is a seed catalog. And so the seed catalogs, um, they come out in the wintertime, so people can flip through the catalog and look at different plants and different landscaping or gardening ideas and things like that, and start to wonder about that, start to plan that, start to imagine that. And so it's sort of an armchair kind of thing, but it's a valuable thing because you're just hanging out in this space where there's not a lot of action, but the action is seemingly unseen. And you're sitting there at your kitchen table, flipping through the seed catalog, getting some ideas, drawing circles around. Hey, I want to grow heirloom tomatoes or something like that, or these certain kind of dahlias. And so it's kind of a dream space and a space of imagination, of wondering, how can I do this? And so it's a nice, easy space where you can just kind of play with things. And playing with different ideas, different stories, different applications, different purposes, and it's just a quick kind of mental kind of thing that involves some heart, geez, how do I feel about this? It involves some kind of intuitive kind of things. Well, where am I being led? What feels right? And how do I figure this out? But it's just play, it's nothing set in stone or anything like that. And so it's also kind of this free play kind of thing, and you just get to wander around and imagine things. And I think it's an important phase because if we don't have the ability to play with it, it doesn't really become ours. So we have to play with things. And so there's some interesting research that says, hey, if you're playing, you're actually learning faster. You're picking it up faster. And you get to, kind of imagine different things, different stories and stuff. And that's play. But you're also learning what is going to work, what might work. Eventually you stumble along on a seed, an idea, and go, yeah, this really sounds interesting. Hey, I have the space, I have the resources, I have the time and the energy. And so you then kind of nourish it more, and it becomes kind of a fascination, but beyond a fascination, more of a obsession, so to speak, and it just grabs you, and you just got to work on it and do it. And so that's basically when a seed germinates and starts to send down roots into the soil. And when a seed generally has some inherent potential and capacity, and so it can send down some roots on its own. But then you're kind of the moisture in the soil, in the soil, your soul, kind of waters it, provides it some nutrients and stuff like that, so it really grows much more of a root system because it has taken um, it has taken root into your imagination, into your imagery and things. And so it really establishes itself, the seed, and it starts to grow. And eventually this little seed, sends up shoots. And when that shoot of the plant, the little plant, breaks the surface of the soil, that's like your signal to say, hey, this is what I'm growing, this is what I'm doing. And that little plant is still needs some protection. Perhaps it's you put it in a little pot, and and so it grows in the windowsill, so you're still protecting it. You haven't really announced it to the neighbors or anything, or put it out in your garden yet. because it's not strong enough yet. It still needs to grow and get 18 inches tall or so like that before you put it out. And now it's in a gallon container. Um, so I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, and that's going into spring. So backing up into the late winter is really, I believe, a sweet time to just be more. Because there's not much going on outside. It's cold out, it's winter time. Um, but it's an excellent time to play and to grow your imagination and play with things. And it's also a time to, geez, you know, take it easy. There's not a bunch of work yet to do. That will come, in the spring and summer. But for now, just enjoy the late winter time, and connecting with yourself, connecting with ideas or little seeds within yourself that, have some potential. And you go, hey, so it's this late winter piece is really nice to just kind of relax, refresh yourself, rebuild yourself, and the germinating of the seed that you find that inspires you, that really motivates and on the border of, hey, I got to do this, is a great time just to spend some time and play with the idea, different scenarios of how you might do this and stuff, because that's going to be valuable for in the very, very late winter, early spring is, okay, what do I need to do? What are my resources? How do I logistically make this happen? Um, so again, I know we're a little ahead of ourselves. So, but I think it's important to know where we're going so that we can prepare, and it's not an abrupt change where we know we're sliding into this. Yeah, we're deep into ourselves right now, introspecting, asking what's my passions, who am I. But eventually we're going to start to come out of that, and we can transition very nicely into looking for that germinating seed. So I believe that's it. Um, and I will certainly be writing a little bit this week to go along with what I've just covered. But that's the essentials. So everyone have a blessed holidays and a wonderful winter. It's a great time to reconnect with friends, families, meet new people, and things like that. So enjoy yourselves. Be compassionate and kind with each other. Be nice to each other. Um, and, enjoy yourselves. Enjoy the holidays and spending time. Thanks. Bye. See you next week.